I wanted to give you a little update on the Polish plane crash situation. Okay, here's a website that has some very interesting information. Okay, this is Patriot 1970.wordpress.com. You may remember this video, or here's an English version. Gunshots heard where Polish president's airplane crashed. This video was shot by a guy called Andrei Mendierej. He went to the scene of the crash with the camera, and if you look at the footage, you'll see some very disturbing things. The biggest one is probably the fact that you hear gunshots. But you don't only hear gunshots. Translation of the talking that you hear in the background is "don't shoot us." And then you hear shots being fired, and then you hear laughing. Okay, that's one thing. The shots were fired at the scene of the crash, which you may have already heard. Also, if you look very closely at these videos, you'll see that there are other people moving around at the crash site. You don't see any bodies. As I mentioned before, no mainstream media footage has shown bodies or body bags. In this footage, you see a man lying on the ground and looks like he's putting his hands up, like reaching out. You have to look at it very closely. You also see a couple of people moving around in the background. Okay, what happened was that the guy who shot this video, Andrei Mendierej, was assassinated. He was stabbed and brought to hospital in critical condition, and then someone came into the hospital and unplugged him from life support and stabbed him again 3 times. And the Russian government claims it was a coincidence. I'd say that's one hell of a coincidence. Here are some other strange things about the plane crash. There was a warning system built into the plane that's supposed to tell the pilots if they're too low to the ground. It's called a terrain awareness warning system, and according to the black box recordings, it had been turned off. Also, there was a special radar system that was at the Russian airport that had been removed the day before the Polish plane was to come in. And also the lights on the runway had been moved an hour later. It's possible that they had been repositioned to guide the plane into the woods. Because when you look at the footage, I mean, it's nowhere near any kind of runway, you know, it was like really in the woods. So there were a lot of strange things like that. I actually put a post up on my blog, and of course Jane Burgermeister has been following all this, and she's got some terrific information on her website, birdflu666.wordpress.com. There was also some other stuff regarding the Polish government that had to do with things like natural gas, that Poland apparently has all these gas reserves, and they could tap into their own reserves and supply themselves with their own gas, which would be good for them. But Russia has a monopoly on gas in the area, and they had wanted to make Poland sign a deal with them that they would be getting all their gas from Russia. But Kaczynski was opposed to this. However, now that he's out of the way, Poland is going to probably go ahead and agree to get all their gas from Russia. So there were things like that. It seems like there was probably a lot of people who wanted the Polish government out of the way for a lot of reasons. You know, when I went to the conference with Brzezinski, I didn't, you know, attend it as in, you know, buy a ticket and go inside and sit down at the table and eat with them, you know. I was just on the threshold, but they let me do that. I told them I was a reporter. So from what I hear from him, the New World Order, the West, as he put it, there's, of course, you know, like I said, they're openly talking about global government, how to get all these different countries into the fold, and they said that Russia will not come into the West if it still considers itself an empire. So who knows? Was this a coup d'etat done by the Russians? It could have been, or was it a coup d'etat done by the New World Order, the globalists? There's a lot of really suspicious stuff. Definitely the Russians would have had to be involved, because I mean, it was Russians who shot whoever was there. Unless you want to believe that those shots were, that was a coincidence, that people were saying, don't shoot me, and then you hear shots. No, it was, you know, somebody on the plane had a bullet in their pocket or something like that. The Russians had a lot to gain from this. then, you know, the filmmaker is assassinated, etc. It could have just been that. In any case, everything just points to a coup d'etat. There's so many entities that would have liked to have the existing the previously existing Polish government out of the way, and they just got rid of all of them in one fell swoop. Very convenient, whoever it was, but it really just looks like it had to be a coup d'etat because there's just too much evidence. And what happens when you provide that kind of evidence? They kill you.